McRae at midcourt will throw it inbounds. It's either that or it's overtime. McRae has it on the
Here
far
goes
side.
Sampson underneath.
Sampson going underneath. It goes to Sampson. He puts it up.
Oh, yeah! We're on our way! Sampson, baby! We're on our way, baby! We are on our way!
The 1986 NBA playoff seemed like a fairy tale for the Houston Rockets. Motivated by one glorious dream, the Rockets were acting out their wildest expectations and played for the league championship. But the touch of reality soon affected the Rockets. They were a young team attempting to win it all, and against, of all teams, the Boston Celtics. For 6 games, the Rockets fought valiantly, but this Cinderella had to start over. The glass slipper had been trampled underfoot.
It was a good year for the Houston Rockets and the Houston city of Houston. Hang with us, baby, because we'll be back.
After the season last year, everybody was thinking that we just have to go one more step to win the championship. People are forgetting that we still have to start from the beginning. This is a new team, and we have to build ourselves to that level.
The earliest days of the 1986-87 season began with rookie camp, that late summer examination of the league's freshest players. In attendance was top draft pick Buck Johnson, as were several veterans like Steve Harris. The competition was intense, as was the decision-making. From this talent pool, Coach Bill Fitch needed to balance out his squad and make the painful decision of who would make the Rockets and who would not.
I think it's the toughest day every year that you go through a cut. You say, well, I'm through that one. There'll never be one any tougher. For the last month, I've been in limbo, and after this is all over with, I'm going to put that in the past and just look for the future. I pretty much can handle the pressure. I'm not new in the NBA, so I know what to expect. So I think they took that in consideration.
I had all my friends calling me, well, what's the story? What's the story? Have you heard anything? No, I haven't heard anything. I'll call you when I hear something. So tonight the phone bill it'll be big.
The Rockets were the reigning Western Conference champs and had to start the new year with Ralph Sampson on the sidelines. Everyone wondered how good they really were. Houston earned a chance to test their mettle during the season opener against the Lakers. Los Angeles was hungry to avenge last year's playoff defeat and turn back the sands of time. But once again, the NBA's past was overwhelmed by its future as Olajuwon smothered the venerable Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Of course, a lot of people probably said last year, was it for real, was it not? But we wanted to come out here and show that the team we were last year was no fluke at all, and we're even better this year.
During the Rockets' first road trip, team chemistry took form in Jim Peterson. A dependable catalyst off the bench, Peterson now had to fill the void left by Ralph Sampson. He smoothly adjusted to his starting assignment and played effectively at both ends of the floor. Back home, the Rockets again destroyed Sacramento, with Peterson inflicting the greatest damage. Once labeled as a project by Bill Fitch, Peterson had now blossomed into an important player, a punishing power forward, and one of the league's most valuable role players.
My role is to play 20 minutes a game, come in and rebound, hit the open jump shot, be a hustler, a tough defender. It's a big transition. It's a good thing actually, because you know that with the injury of Ralph Sampson that I'm going to be able to take my shots, and if I miss them, I'm probably not going to come out of the game.
His stats may not show it because he had to play a different role, but the fact that he played the role of a starter and helped us, stay close enough to the pack that we got a chance of catching him with everybody back now, I think is a credit to him.
With confidence, it breeds success, and I think when you start having success, you just get more and more confidence, and it just starts snowballing. And unless you play, it's hard. You can get a lot of minutes. It's hard to get that confidence rolling.
Good news arrived on the season's third week.
Substitution for Houston, checking into the game, number 50, Ralph Sampson for Jim Peterson.
Sampson's return marked the reunification of the Twin Towers, and for the first time all season, Houston could marvel at its skyline.
Now they've got the isolation they want on Sampson, puts it up, it goes in, and he's fouled. So his first regular season shot could be a three-pointer. In the lineup along with Olajuwon and Reed, you can go over the top a lot, just like that.
With the Twin Towers standing tall again, Houston looked to extend its optimistic 4-1 start. Sampson kept things rolling against the Trailblazers, but sacrificed a whole lot more. In an attempt to return to top form, Big Ralph suffered a crushing setback.
Sampson may be favoring that ankle just a little bit as he goes back to the defensive end.
Houston fell to the Blazers and was robbed of one of its greatest resources. Once more, a star was shuttled off stage, and someone needed to grab the spotlight.
But the one thing I asked him when Ralph got hurt, I said, now you've got to come up with 20 points a night. And he's been anywhere from 15 to 20 point in average since that time. And he also has to do a lot of our ball handling, and that our guard position has been up and down.
Throughout his professional career, Rodney McRae has been the quiet member of Bill Fitch's heralded front line. But now, when desperately needed, McRae's numerous skills were speaking louder than mere words. November 18th was a historic day in the life of Akeem Olajuwon. The talented center signed a 12-year contract, a guarantee to remain a Rocket till age 35.
I think it will show the fans the fact that we're really committed to our program, and that we're willing to put the money on the line and put the guaranteed contracts on the line, because these guys don't come along, every day.
I've been there since I've been in the United States, so I'm used and proud. I love this city. This is where I wanted to be.
Yet, in one devastating second, the dream appeared to be shattered. In a game against the New York Knicks, a sudden jolt injured Akeem's right knee and left him writhing in pain.
I thought that he had ruptured a medial collateral ligament because it was a classic type of injury and type of direction of blow or pressure that would do that type of injury.
Well, it happened so quick that, you just hope that it's not as serious as it looks. And that looked like a very bad injury.
I was disappointed because it was very painful. The next thing I saw was in the hospital. I'm so glad it wasn't as serious as I thought.
A healthy prognosis lifted Akeem's spirits, as did a hero's return back in Houston.
Did it make you feel any better when it happened last night that you had the guaranteed contract?
Well, I'm not even thinking about the contract. I'm thinking about winning. That was a good one.
With Akeem gone, Houston turned to Dave Feitel, a 7-footer from Texas, El Paso.
I, had a good feeling about it that I was going to start, so I tried to prepare myself the whole day. And we went into that game and we lost the whole series of road games, and we really wanted this win as a team to show everybody that we could win without Ralph and Akeem.
During this stretch, the Rockets showed confidence in a rookie whose self-esteem was growing.
And playing against Akeem every day in practice and Pete and now Ralph, it's really helped my game a lot. It's given me confidence that if I can score on them, I can score on anybody.
He's an improved player. And like all big guys, I think we just have to, he's still a green apple. We have to wait for him to get ready. But I like Dave Feitl. I think he's going to be a fine player. I just think we have to be patient with him.
Best haircut? That's no question about it, Dave Feitl. And he came in, he looked like Sergeant Slaughter.
I mean, I almost wanted to salute him. I mean, here was this Gomer Pyle, Sergeant Carter, Bill Fitch, I'm ready to play ball for you haircut.
They're going to tell you that Feitl, in the eyes of the coach, made this roster when he came up with that Marine haircut.
Power supreme. Looks like a centurion.
An aching heart is hard to mend, and few players have suffered the hardship of Rodney McRae and the tragedy of his daughter.
She fell Thanksgiving Day and hit her head, so we took her to the emergency room.
They found out she had a brain tumor, which is in a part of the brain that's inoperable.
Stricken at just 5 years old, April McRae became the focus of her father's every waking moment. But instead of gloom, this was a day of hope as the patients of MD Anderson Hospital celebrated life.
Being around the guys, they know the situation I'm in. They are very helpful. My family members and friends are very helpful. The fans have been great, sending stuffed animals, letters, and just doing everything that they can do. And they've made the situation much easier to deal with.
Rodney's heavy thoughts were comforted by the return of Akeem Olajuwon. For 3 weeks, Akeem's presence had been sorely missed, but he made up for lost time with a winning performance against the King. Without Akeem, the Rockets had slipped in the Midwest Division, but now prepared to resume their competitive ways. However, Houston continued to lose. They'd fall in 6 of their next 7 contests. Clearly, there were no easy explanations.
The losing is the toughest, the grind of the losing. You're playing with such great athletes in every city. In other words, 23 cities, you've got such great athletes and there's so much involved that you're expected to win.
The Rockets talked tough, played tough, even acted tough to get back into stride, but they still found new ways to keep on stumbling.
You're always on stage. You're always out front. And you're dealing with athletes that are really, they're in the pressure cooker. They're catching airplanes at 5 in the morning. They're trying to live a life that burn the candle at both ends a lot of the time. It's a real merry-go-round.
Extensive travel made matters particularly stressful for the slumping Rockets. They were forced to spend many special days away from home, but even that couldn't dampen the team's Christmas spirit.
My Christmas wish is that on Christmas Day there are families who would definitely have a Christmas meal, no one go hungry, and that every kid who does wake up, there is at least that one gift.
I'd like to wish my family a happy and Merry Christmas and New Year's, and wish my teammates and their families the same.
Well, I wish everybody peace on earth and a lot of good health.
But my Christmas wish is get the Houston Rockets some more wins. For the fans to just keep coming to the game, you know, we hoping to turn these around.
1986 had come full circle. The Rockets were 6 months removed from their playoff magic and now hope to regain that touch in 1986's final contest. Houston appeared to be on their way as they defeated the Clippers. Next was a visit to Denver, where the Rockets worked on their offensive versatility and got everyone into the flow. Houston beat Denver at their own game by connecting in rapid-fire succession, good for a second straight road victory.
And the Houston Rockets start 1987 off with a big win in the Mile High City.
For the first time since the opening week, the Rockets were playing as a cohesive unit and looked to perpetuate that feeling back home against Seattle. The Sonics were shot down for a third straight win, and Indiana was the next team lined up in Houston's sights. The Rockets benefited from an improved sense of teamwork, instinctively finding the right man at the right time. This paid big dividends against the rival Dallas Mavericks as Houston highlighted an 8-win surge over 9 games.
I would say Richard Anderson gives and takes the most abuse.
Richard Anderson.
Richard Anderson.
Richard Anderson.
Richard Anderson.
I feel it's my role to abuse people when I can and keep them in their place, you know, like Ralph or Keem or somebody, some of the starters. And I take them out. If I give it out, I get as much back. So I think I give and take the most.
Mitchell Wiggins and Louis Lloyd of the Houston Rockets have tested positive for the use of cocaine. Accordingly, under the anti-drug agreement between the NBA and its Players Association, Mitchell Wiggins and Louis Lloyd are permanently disqualified from playing in our league.
Once more, Houston was dealt a severe blow.
In the back of our mind, we know there are 2 key players missing, but we can't think about them right now.
The 2 guys that were in the situation hopefully will get help and prepare themselves for their future life. For this basketball team, we just have to come together and be stronger.
We've spent 3 years now with this ball club, and one of the main themes has been anytime something negative happens to us, we're going to turn it into a plus.
Minus 2 important players, the remaining Rockets hardened their collective resolve. More would be demanded of them, and more had to be delivered. Despite their loss, the game hadn't changed, and neither did their opponents' desire. The Rockets had to dig deep and come up big. Beginning with the home game against Phoenix, the Rockets dominated both ends of the floor with a renewed sense of fervor. The more Houston hustled, the more breaks were falling their way. Unmercifully, Houston turned out the lights on the setting Suns. In Chicago, Hakeem Olajuwon picked up where he left off the night before. Living up to their names, the Rocket guards fired away. Robert Reed's game-clinching basket instilled confidence in the outside game, encouraging teammates like Steve Harris.
Steve is the first guy that really had the pressure put on him when we lost Wig and we lost Lou.
He told me I would probably have to contribute more. You know, losing those 2 guys, I would have to come in and help the team more. You know, if it takes defense and offense, both, that's what I try to do.
Harris showed fine hustle against the Detroit Pistons. Houston stymied the Piston defense, luring players to the ball to open up the lane. Poise became the team's growing watchword as Houston took advantage of Detroit mistakes. Houston proved they were not just a Twin Tower team. Increased productivity was most noticeable at the guard position, especially with Alan Level, who was one step in the Rockets' rebuilding scheme.
We keep track not only of the players in the NBA, but the players in the CBA as well, and to have some idea of the value of that player to us.
In an effort to further reinforce the lineup, Patterson shopped around for a man of championship credentials.
It came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, got a call from my attorney. This was on a Friday, and said there's a possibility of you being traded. This was in the morning. He called me back 2 hours later, told me I was traded to the Rockets and to meet the Rockets in Boston Sunday. There I was in Boston Garden with a brand new team and a contending team.
Our whole theory right then was to get somebody that could give us a lift at the time.
He brings a new dimension into the Houston Rocket game where he's what you call a wily type of player. He can get his points any way. He can get his points in a funny way, you know, his long legs and arms running down there.
I come in and provide a spark. I play in different roles, give Rodney back up, and try to help the guys with less experience than me.
He has the experience of being an NBA champion, right? That's the most important thing. Plus, I think with him, I don't have to worry about coming up with so many quotes. The best with the ladies?
I think everybody on the team has had their experiences with the ladies. You got so many guys who say they're lovers, and you can't believe it once they're telling you this.
I'll leave that to the single guys. I'm married, so I don't want to touch it. Dear, I'm not touching that one.
Hakeem.
Bo Johnson.
Steve Harris.
I couldn't tell you.
Jim Peterson.
Robert Reed.
The Rockets gained added insurance by picking up Dirk Minifield.
Being in Cleveland and getting traded here was a great feeling, and I made the quote of saying that it's kind of like dying and going to heaven. Most people die and never get to tell about it. I kind of died and get to tell about it.
Playing against his old teammates, Houston's newest point guard quickly learned the Twin Towers offense.
My role with the Houston Rockets is primarily to keep the tempo up, and what I mean by up is keep the running game going. And by doing that, I have to constantly push the ball and push it out and make decisions at a split second.
Minifield's glowing work gave Houston yet another weapon and fueled Houston's mid-season roll. Next on the schedule was a matchup against their cross-state rivals, the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs were swallowed whole, and Houston looked to take on bigger game like the Knicks' Patrick Ewing. New York hadn't a chance, and next was a date with Moses Malone, Hakeem's former tutor.
Hakeem on a spin.
The student penned a master thesis against the teacher, and by All-Star break, Hakeem was universally recognized as the best center in the NBA. But just prior to the mid-season classic, Houston's other All-Star starter would suffer his third setback of the season.
I had the ball on a trailer play at the top of the key. I kind of slipped on a wet spot on the floor or something. I thought it was fine after that. I ran back and down the court a little bit, and I went to turn, and my knee locked up on me.
Sampson's hurt. Sampson hurt either his left knee or his left ankle. Oh, he's in pain now. Look at that.
He's telling the doctor, please, watch the pressure.
Well, you do everything you can to prevent, but that doesn't seem to always be the answer. But it's all a matter of luck. I don't think it's what you do or whatever happens. You know, in Hakeem's instance and Ralph's instance, it's just the type of injuries that occur that you can't prevent.
One thing that couldn't be prevented was Hakeem's shining All-Star appearance.
Starting at
at center. He and Sampson comprise the twin towers of the defending Western Conference champs. 7 feet from the Houston Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Hakeem was the West team's solidifying force in a dramatic overtime win. Drama also loomed with the beginning of the second half of the season. Bill Fitch eyed his 700th win as an NBA coach and achieved it against the New Jersey Nets. Posting another chapter in his storybook career, Fitch became just the 5th man to attain the 700-win plateau.
It's an individual accomplishment based on all the things that go into the team sport of basketball. Once I'm through coaching and you sit back and see how many wins you've got, there'll be, the list will be as long as the 700 or 800 or whatever it ends up being of people that helped you get there.
Returning home, Houston was intent on digging in their heels and backing up their healthy towers' strong words. With a relentless style, the Rockets' front court provided the necessary offense for a win over conference rival Dallas. With good fortune now smiling on the Rockets, nothing seemed impossible. Looking for his first win against Houston, Spurs coach Bob Weiss was thwarted a 4th time by Hakeem and company. With Hakeem Olajuwon prowling the basket's airspace, the Rockets continued to soar toward their lofty dream, another conference title. The Nigerian star displayed sound fundamentals as well as exciting low-post flair, despite becoming a student of the game at such a late age.
I started playing basketball when I was 17 years old. Now, I used to play soccer when I was 2-3 years old. I've been playing soccer. You know, all of my friends were telling me I was too tough to play soccer. You know, it's bad for me to play basketball. And I didn't know anything about basketball until I saw a coach. He was a Nigerian national coach. He was just riding through our neighborhood. Then they saw me playing soccer. He opened his trunk and gave me a basketball and took me to the basketball gym. You know, showed me an example how to do a layup, and I couldn't do it. Then he was trying to show me how to dunk the ball, and I couldn't dunk, for a couple of weeks.
But as a collegiate player with the Houston Cougars, Hakeem learned the virtues of Phi Slamma Jamma, serving him up and slamming him down. Behind Hakeem, the Cougars earned 3 consecutive visits to the Final Four, distinguishing the young star to become the NBA's top pick. Fortunately for the Rocket fans, another franchise-making coin flip came out in their favor.
Houston won. I just had the feeling. I really believed that Houston was going to win the big coin flip, and they would pick their #1 draft choice. So, and I really wanted to play in Houston. Sometimes I just couldn't believe what has happened between the last 6 years to me. I mean, it was unbelievable. Sometimes it just seems like a dream.
But the dream of Hakeem's past was starkly contrasted by the nightmare of Sampson's future. The latter half of the season meant rehabilitation for Houston's power forward. Every day, Sampson faced a stiff regimen of exercise to strengthen his damaged knee.
After 4 or 5 days, and after I got off the crutches, and after the pain went away, I kind of went on a program of maybe 6 hours a day. I started lifting weights with my upper body and did a lot of swimming, different agility drills in the pool, and I think it helped out a lot.
As Sampson worked his way back into shape, Houston had to make adjustments.
I think that you always gain from adversity. For instance, Dave Feidel has played a lot more basketball already than he probably would have played as a rookie here in Houston had the Towers remained healthy.
Once you do start getting to the fact of playing playoff games, you've got to have a strong bench. You got to have guys to come in and fulfill those minutes, that if your starters get in foul trouble or somebody, God forbid, gets hurt, you have people who have the confidence to step on the floor.
In Ralph's absence, Houston's rookies were thrown into the breach. Dave Feidel gave added muscle to the inside game, while speed and versatility was provided by Buck Johnson.
My role has been to just relieve Rodney's when he's tired and try to come in and get a team a lift and not hurt the team. Just keep the tempo going and not let down at that position.
The rookie from Alabama was showing his promise as the team's #1 draft choice. He came on as a late bloomer, sidelined early with a hyperextended knee.
I think if I hadn't had the injury, I would have been more consistent than I have been. So I'm still pretty confident in my ability and my ball game.
Peterson, probably. You could throw it to him and they're like, they just bounce off like a wall.
I always give Pete the credit for having the worst hands.
I'd say in cohesion with the other people, probably would have said Jim Peterson.
You almost have to Western Union your pass to Jim Peterson, and it's like as you're coming down the floor and you have to look at him and then move your lips. I'm getting ready to pass you the ball, Jim. Catch it, please.
The other 11 guys besides me, I think, those guys have terrible hands. It's incredible. I'm the only one who can catch the ball.
In the season's final week, strong statements by Dick Motta fueled an already bitter rivalry. Words turned into actions, with neither side giving an inch. But when the dust settled, the visiting Rockets saw the home team prevail. Back at the summit, the Rockets studied hard to return the favor.
If he's able to catch the ball and kick it in, Donaldson's got the play made. But if we come out and we're really alive and slow this guy down, now he's in there 3 seconds. And that's where we said you got to get your body on top, Dream. This play you got to anticipate so that when he's coming down, you got to get up on top so that he can't make that pass in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the summit for tonight's NBA game between the Dallas Mavericks and your Houston Rockets.
Seeking redemption, Houston bombarded the Mavericks with a well-balanced attack. Striking quickly and often, the Rockets honed in on their final win of the regular season. The Rockets' first playoff challenge waited in Portland, a city 10 years removed from its championship season. Some felt the Trailblazers were laying the foundation for a future NBA title and picked them to win the series. But such small talk had little effect on Houston's big men, who bolted quickly out of the gates. Twin Tower trauma was to be expected, but to Portland's surprise, the Rockets' Allen Level launched a long-range offensive attack. Level's 22 points suddenly gave Houston firepower in the backcourt.
I'd hate to think what we would, where we'd be if it hadn't been for Al. He stayed at it. He just didn't give up when he was cut.
and he made an immediate impression on us.
Actually, I called the Rockets and I told them I had been playing a lot and maybe, well, I talked to Coach and told him I was ready to play if he wanted to give me a shot.
After splitting 2 games in Portland, the Rockets had a mission to protect home court honor.
You gotta stop all this clowning around.
The troops marched to a purposeful cadence and rallied behind their mighty floor general.
And starting at center, 7 feet from the University of Houston, number 34, Hakeem Olajuwon.
There was no grand scheme, no fancy tactical maneuvers. Just rely on the heavy artillery. Look for Hakeem in the middle and let him prove why he is simply the best. In Game 3, the Summit witnessed a spectacular performance as Hakeem tallied 20 points and 7 block shots in the first half alone. Hakeem's play was even grittier in the following game, cementing 2 wins that crushed Portland's lofty ambitions. Following a season of painful misfortune, Houston could now bathe in the glory of victory and wait for their next opponent. Coming into town were the Seattle Supersonics, a youthful team oblivious to the pressures of playoff basketball. Led by a triumvirate of 20-point scorers, the Sonics grabbed the early lead and tried to secure Game 1 by halftime. But their aggressive ways were countered by Houston's wily front court. The game went down to the wire until Dale Ellis settled matters with a smooth jump shot. Seattle duplicated their fine effort in Game 2, and this time it would be Houston who had a chance to come through in the clutch.
There's the alley-oop, and Olajuwon missed it. And the Seattle Supersonics have pulled off another big victory on Houston's home court. And now Bernie Bickerstaff and the boys head back to the Great Northwest with a 2-0 lead.
The Sonics now owned an advantage as impressive as their expansive city, with 3 possible chances to win the series on their own home court. However, it was the Rockets' turn to be a spoiler on the road. Bernie Bickerstaff had no idea how to slow down Hakeem, yet had a notion how to return the favor. But while the 2 front lines were slugging it out, Robert Reed would settle the outcome of Game 3. The 6'8" swingman filled it up from the off-guard position and infused the Rockets with an unbridled sense of enthusiasm.
I'm not a quitter. I just look at it and say, just get out. Give and show the enthusiasm. Let it be known that, hey, we can win, and don't quit.
Yet Reed left the NBA after 5 seasons amidst public speculation.
I didn't have that desire to even play ball. What I did was I just packed my bags and left. I think a lot of folks misunderstood. They thought I was going out to be a minister. No, I didn't go to be a preacher. I went out to find myself again because I had gotten to the point where I was listening to so many people who were friends and whatnot about here is this Robert Reed, and I tried to be
this Robert Reed that everybody said, and I wasn't my own person, and I just felt very empty.
Think about that. My soul waited upon God.
However, Reed returned still very much a crowd favorite and an even bigger hero in community life.
Now, all y'all know how Ralph and Akeem be dunking, right? Yeah! They be tearing the rim down, right? Yeah! You want to see Shonda tear the rim down? Yeah!
I know good enough well Robert Reed is not going to bounce the ball nowhere near as long as a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because they are going to be fine point guards and shooting guards and small forwards who are going to come in, and I'm going to look up one day and I'm going to shake their hand and say, hey, go at it, young buck, because I'm out of here.
After losing Game 4, the Rockets sought every possible advantage to avert elimination. They returned to the summit where they always are at their best. They regained the motivation of their loyal hometown fans, and most important was the inspired work of Rodney McRae.
He's certainly been a rock.
So he's our glue. He's kind of the guy that plugs up the gaps for us, and, you know, when we need some help at either position.
He never complains. He plays hard. He does everything.
As a tireless worker at all phases of the game, Rodney may be the most important factor in team success. By posting a stunning triple-double performance, Rodney led the Rockets' charge to cut the Sonics' advantage to 1 game.
Recognition among the team is all I'm looking for. I mean, as long as they appreciate the effort and what I'm trying to do out there to make this team the best it possibly can be, that's all I'm concerned about.
Now the Rockets prepared for one of basketball's stiffest challenges, to recover from a 3-1 game deficit and walk away with the series. In Game 6, Akeem was playing at his dominant best until he was forced to the sidelines in the second quarter.
Now has 3 personal fouls. So McRae, Olajuwon, and Level each have 3.
Without their powerful big man, the Rockets appeared cornered and took blows right up the gut. Bill Fitch instructed his men to counterpunch and looked to Cedric Maxwell and Jim Peterson to lead a comeback. Without Akeem, the Rockets remained close, and then called his number when he returned to the fray. Akeem rekindled Houston's competitive fire. The Rockets captured the lead in the fourth quarter, but Seattle had a backdoor plan how to get back in the hunt. Seconds remained in regulation, and the Sonics were applying the pressure. They needed just one more basket to tie the game.
Here's the turnover. Ellis. And the foul.
Game 6 headed to overtime, and everyone looked to the heavens to answer their prayers. For the Rockets, salvation seemed to be wrapped up in one 7-foot package. While an emotional 6th game drained most players, Akeem kept getting stronger. He posted 49 points, 25 rebounds, and almost single-handedly extended the game to a third overtime. However, Akeem's magnificent work did not get the best of Seattle. They also had their share of pressure players and made the crucial baskets when it mattered most. The 6th game would be the last of the Rockets season. There would be no return to the finals, no fairy tales to fulfill, just the hope of better times in the future.
So I think my final thanks would be to God.
for just helping us all get through this season and realize that it really isn't maybe as important as we thought.
I'd also like to give a dedication to my wife, Donna, and my kids that they've been with me, right, during ups and downs throughout my career and all.
Well, I really like to give a special thanks to my father. He lives back in Muncie, Indiana. His name is Jesse Level, Sr., and I really haven't had a chance. The last couple of years I've been real busy and spend the time with him and show him how much I love him. But he's such a big reason why I'm here, and I just thank you for having me, Daddy.
I want to thank God for blessing me in so many ways and being with the Houston Rockets.
My most sincere and serious dedication would be to the friends and the family that have really stuck by me this year because this has been like the most trying year in my basketball career.
I would also say thanks to God for helping me to get to where I am today, and thanks to my family and my fans for their support.
Oh, well, I'd like to dedicate this first year to my grandmother. She's been a real inspiration to me.
Well, I just want to thank all the people and my family back in Kentucky for standing behind me when I wasn't playing in the NBA and was back in the CBA. I just want to say thanks. Without you, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
I just want to say to all members of my family, friends, fans, and everybody who's been supportive of not only myself, as my personal problems, but also the problems that the team has had this year. I want to thank them for sticking with us,